Hello everyone, in today's video we have to solving the problem of the day of Geeks for Geeks. Problem name is nearest smaller tower. So firstly we read the problem statement and after that we try to understand what is the problem actually is. So problem statement is given an array where each element ARRI represent the height of the tower. So each element in that array represent the height of the tower and find for each tower the nearest possible tower that is shorter than it. You can look in both the directions. Okay, so this is the array that is given in the question, and n is the length of that array. So n is 3 for the element 1. There are no element which is lesser than 1 in that array, so we simply add -1 in the answer array. For that 3, 1 is the smaller element and 2 is also the smaller element, but the distance of 1 is lesser than, so we added the index of that one in the answer array, that is 0. So for the element 2, there are only one element which is lesser than it, that is 1, so we added the index of that 1, that is 0 in the answer array, and at that we return answer array. So this is the simplest question. So we understand this problem using two simple examples. So in this second example, the array length is 5 and there are 5 elements in the array: 4, 8, 3, 5 and 3. So for that element 4, no element in its left side which is lesser than it. So and in its right side 3 is the element which is lesser than 4. So we added the index of 3 in the answer array, that is 2. For the element 8, 4 is the element which is lesser than 8 and 3 is also lesser than 8. So we added the smaller value index. So 3 is the smaller value. So we added the index of 3, that is 2 in the answer array. So for that 3, no element which is lesser than 3 in the array. So we added -1 in the array. So for that 5, there are two elements 3 and 3 which is lesser than 5. But we choose the lesser index. So we added 2 in the answer array. For that 3, there are no element which is lesser than it. So we simply added -1. So for, this is the simplest question. Now the question is how to solve this question. So for that we take two array left and right, because we work on the indexes, so we store the indexes. In the left array we add the previous smallest element, and the right array we store the next smallest element. So for that 4, in the left side no one is smaller than 4, so we added -1. For this 8, 4 is the element which is lesser than 8 and the index of 4 is 0. So 0 is added in the left. So for that 3, no element in its left side which is lesser than 3. So we added -1. So, and for that 5, 3 is the element which is lesser than 5, and what is the index of that 3 is 2. So 2 is added in the left. So for that 3, no element which is lesser than 3 in the left side. So we added -1. So this is the previous smallest element for each index. Okay, so we calculate the next smallest element. So for that 4, 3 is the index, 3 is the element which is lesser than it on its right side. So we added the index of 3, that is 2 in the right array. So for that 8, 3 is the element in its right side. 3 is the element which is lesser than it in its right side. So we added the index of 3 in the right array. So for that 3, no element is lesser than it in its right side. So we added -1 in the right array. So for that 5, 3 is the element which is on its right side and lesser than its, and index of that 3 is 4. So 4 is added, and for that 3, no element which is lesser than it on its right side. So we added -1 in the that array. So these array are formed. Left is the previous smallest element for each element, and right is the next smallest element for each element in its right side. So these array are formed. So now we take answer array. in that we want to store answer. So we traverse both the arrays one by one. So this value minus if in both the arrays if any value is minus 1, so we added the second index in the answer. So one value is minus 1 in the left array, so we added 2 in the answer. So now if 0 and 2, so which index is, so we check the value of 0th index. So ARR 0 is 4 and we check the value at 2 index, that is 3. So which value is lesser than, so 3 3 is lesser than 4, so we added the index of 3, that is 2, in the answer array. So 2 is added to the answer. And if any value is minus 1 and both the values is minus 1, so we added minus 1 in the answer. So minus 1 is added in the answer. So now 2 and 4 is the value. So we check the values of index 2 and 4. So in the array the index 2 is 3 and the value that is on index 4 is also 3. So both the values is 3. Now the question arises, what we do in such a condition. So if that condition is right, we take minimum index. So minimum index in 2 and 4 is 2. So we added 2 in the answer. So in the last index both the values are minus 1. So we added minus 1 in the answer. So this is the answer that we return at the end. So firstly, what we do? Firstly, we take two array left and right, and if one value among them is minus 1, so we added minus 1 in the answer. If not any value is minus 1, so we check the actual value in the array and that value, which value is lesser than another one, so we added index of this value in the answer. And if the both the values equal in the answer array, so we take minimum index and add it to the answer array. So this is the simplest question. Now we code the problem. So firstly, what we do, we take a function that calculate the previous smallest. Name is previous smallest. What it take? It take the array and the length of that array, and at the end it return the previous smallest element. Okay, and we take another function that calculate the right array, which is the next smallest, and it also take n. So these are the two functions. So what we do, we firstly we take a variable n, and what the value of n, it is the length of the array, and we consider two array left and right, and what is the length of these arrays is n, and we take another array whose name is right, and what is the length of this is also n, but we do not consider it here because we make a function to calculate the left and right array, so we call the function here. So what we pass, need to pass the array and the length, and in this we also call next smallest, and we also pass here, and so we make these function. Now code that function. So how to find the previous smallest and next smallest element? So we need to take a stack data structure. So make a stack. What is the name of stack? st new stack. So that stack is ready, and we need risk name array that we return at the end of that function. So what is the length of the trace is n. Okay, so we traverse the array I equals to 0, I less than n, and I plus plus. So here firstly we check while stack is st dot is empty and end. So we work on the index and not the actual value. Now we check ARR st dot peak. If it is greater than the ARR actual value, then what we do, we pop the actual value from the stack. So pop is the method that pop the values. Okay, now we reach the value which is lesser than the actual value, and if the st dot is empty, if the stack is empty, what we do, we simply add -1 in the array. And as the stack is not empty, what we do, we added st dot peak in the answer, and at the last we push the index I in the. So this is made. This is the previous smallest element that calculate the smallest value in its left side. Now we calculate the next smallest element. So we firstly we copy this code and make the smaller changes in it. So we calculate it in the last, greater than equal to 0 and I minus minus. Okay, so this is the slightly change in that. So we in this we made two functions that calculate the values of left and right arrays. Okay, so now what we can do, we traverse whole array I plus plus and check if left I double equal to -1 and right I double equal to -1. If values of both the arrays is -1, so we simply added -1 in the array. And else if left I is not equal to -1 and right I double equal to -1, so we added this value which is not equal to -1. So what we add, we add left I else if left I is double equal to -1 and right I is not equal to -1, then what we do, we added which value is not equal to -1. So what we add right I. So this is the test case when one value is equal to -1. So we added that value that is not equal to -1. So this is the code. If both the values equals to -1, so we added minus and else. If these three condition is not applied, so what we do? We take two variable, int distance1 and int distance 2. And what is the value of I minus left I and right I minus I. So in this, firstly we check indexes. If dist1 is less than dist2, so what we do, raise I, we take the smaller value which is left I, and else we store the right I. But what is the problem? If and else, if else we check, in that we check the actual value ARR, left I is less than ARR, right I, raise I equals to left I, and else is I, right I. So here we return the answer array. So we forgot to make the answer array. So here firstly quickly we make the answer array and try to submit the code and reduce the minor errors that occur in the code. Okay. So what is 84? What is the 8 else if? Okay, we do not add the condition of else if. So if distance 1 is greater than distance 2. So now let's try to submit that code. What is the error in 73 line? Risks. Okay. Convert the name into the risk, and here we also return risk because and anywhere we do not use answer variable. Okay. What is the error in 85 line? Right eye. Now try to compile this code. Missing return statement. Okay, in this function forgot to return this. So we return risk and return risk. Code is compiled successfully and we reduce the minor error occur in the code. Now try to submit this code. Okay guys, so that code is compiled successfully and submitted also successfully. Thank you for watching this video. Follow for next videos of the upcoming question in the Geeks for Geeks platform. Thank you so much.